and not to be as bilateral as they threaten to be, also with their critical stance towards the civil society here in Germany itself. So many challenges. But has there anything that has surprised you? I mean, you've been a human rights expert for decades. You have so much experience in the field of politics, in the field of being an advocate, and for a couple of years now you've been a member of this UN committee. Is there something that you wouldn't have expected, positively or negatively?
Well, you see, if you are in a parliament, even in the European Parliament, the dominant level is the political power and the economy. Yes? And then you have slash and human rights. And then you are happy and you praise the success if you have one more word than in the previous year in the resolution. That is okay. Now the UN in these treaty bodies is a very party politic free area, I would say. Also, the persons who are there, it's very rarely that you are in the middle of your career. If you go to this, I'm retired, yeah. So, and I'm even not a lawyer or something like this. So, the dominant work is that you understand the convention and that you try as best as you can to help that this is implemented. And this is a very factual, interesting work. Yeah? And then, of course, if you have a country, and let's say, I would say what goes through my work biography, that I am a non-governmental person. I think human rights are there to control those who rule over you, but you need some structure to do this. It's an instrument of empowering an individual. So, we have to keep the ways open to civil societies and individuals. And in our convention, for example, those who are the victims of enforced disappearance is very progressively defined. It is the individual, it is the family, but it can be also the organization, or the colleagues and comrades. And so it is all those who have a legitimate interest to learn about the faith of this person. So that is a very progressive thinking. And this, maybe it is not a surprise, but I think it makes it interesting for me. What I have to say, but this is, you are an international audience now, but I am from Germany, it surprises me that from within Germany there are very few experts who go to these committees. And actually it brings me to an idea. If you have a German citizenship, you have a government which you need to put you forward. So there is nowhere in the statutes who says only the variants in the 7th generation, when you can prove that Napoleon wasn't involved or something like this, has a right to run. So you can also go to your government in Berlin and say, I have an interest to go to such a committee. But what I have to say to you, when you just think you can fight for your cause, you are not allowed in the committee to work on your own country, even you would like to criticize them most. But you can, of course, be always there and work on the issue and open the way to people from outside.
Well, being from a peoples that has been persecuted for decades now in such a massive manner, it gives you certainly the empathy to understand what enforced disappearance means. Even if you can't work on your own peoples, you will be a strong advocate. You will be a strong advocate for other peoples and individuals. Maybe we can send the addresses that Barbara Lochbihler gave to us to the participants in the upcoming days.
Will during the lunch.
Okay, perfect. Yes, it will be projected. Yes, please.
I forgot one point to you all. Now we will most likely start a paper on transnational repression. We heard this from the colleague from Hong Kong in the second panel, I think, or the first panel, and so. when I say statement, it will not be as broad as a general comment, but maybe a 1 or 2 page statement, which we then in 1 or 2 years adopt, and to speak to, and to make general recommendations on enforced disappearance and border or transnational repression. And if you have cases, please bring them to our attention. Then we can refer to them and sharpen the more technical and theoretical paper. But it is good to have, let's say, also from your view, from a variety of different countries, what the Uyghur people face for problems on trans-border repression.
Thank you very much, Papa Lochbihler, also for your advocacy on behalf of Ilham Tohti in order for him to receive the Sakharov Prize in 2019 was very, very, very important. And I don't know, I hope you can come back to Munich and to the Uyghur community many times because you're Bavarian yourself and have roots here. Yes, your face says many things. From the people from within the UN system, to the advocate, Zomretai. You started working as an advocate, I think 6 years ago. Is that true? And I mean, you knew a lot of things about world politics, also about the United Nations. But starting out as an advocate, it must have been quite a challenge because the United Nations, to many people, seems like this huge, complex, black box institution. So, what was it like?
Thank you, Hanno, and thank you to our UN experts. I mean, as someone with a legal background as well, it was, I entered the UN in 2019, November, during the Minority Forum, thinking I had figured it out, like the whole UN system, because I studied it so many times, but then it was nothing like what I studied in the books. It was incredibly overwhelming and almost very stressful to be, in this kind of real world politics and international system. But it also was an incredible opportunity to bring the Uyghur issue to light and speaking. My first time engaging with the UN system was speaking actually at the UN Minority Forum, and at the time it was about linguistic rights, and I felt really empowered. Nowadays, I think it's an incredible space for a lot of the unrepresented peoples and nations to bring their causes in any international forum, but at the same time, I quickly understood that there was a lot of politics involved, and I think one of the key aspects of working within the UN system is really knowing the limits but also exploring the opportunities. And for me or for us was understanding some of the political limits. And also some of the dynamics that exist within the Human Rights Council, but also some of the mechanisms like the UPR, Universal Periodic Review, which is extremely political, as opposed to other treaty bodies or mechanisms that are more, let's say, independent or fact-based. For example, the treaty bodies and others. So I think it really requires like a deeper level understanding of the entire system, where you can engage safely, where you cannot engage safely, and what do you get out of this? What are some of the concrete deliverables, outcomes of your participation, I would say.
What do you mean with safely?
I mean, we really touched on reprisals a lot, and I think the UN, when I first entered, I felt really empowered and safe. But over the years, engaging at the UN has become extremely risky for a lot of us. Uyghur activists, because we are constantly monitored,